Hey everyone, and welcome to the Let's Be Real podcast. I'm Nayan, your host for this episode, and it has been a long time between drinks. And for this one, this is our 90th episode, and on this episode we'll be talking about the Mission Impossible trailer, How to Train Your Dragon trailer, Moana 2 and the Thanksgiving weekend box office results, current cast for Christopher Nolan's next film, the latest news on the Harry Potter TV series, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's film, Dune 2 not being eligible for Ocscar and BAFTA nominations for score, and the National Board of Review and American Film Institute Early Award contenders. So I'm joined here by the usual lads, James and Kyan. Boys, ready for this one?
Yes, it's been a while, as you said. So yeah, looking forward to getting back to it and catching up on the news.
Cool. So the first one is obviously Mission Impossible. Dead Reckoning Part 2 is no longer a thing. It's now called The Final Reckoning. It's coming out next year. We've just seen the trailer. What are you guys' thoughts on this one?
I think it looks awesome. And I think it looks like a return to form for Mission Impossible. Not to say that Dead Reckoning was bad by any means, but I think we can all agree that it took a little bit of a step down from Fallout to Dead Reckoning. And what I saw from this one, at least from an action set piece point of view, is that it seems very diverse. And, you know, you got obviously the Tom Cruise running, you got him underwater, which is probably he's going to break the record for most time underwater by holding his breath. And then you just got all these other action sequences, flying the planes. I think it's probably going to be one of the biggest ones there. So I think it just looks awesome. It's going to be building on the momentum that Dead Reckoning set up. So hopefully it's a slow start, strong finish kind of deal we're going to get with these movies. So I'm really looking forward to this, as long as they actually commit to a kind of finality of this character of Ethan Hunt and most of like kind of the Mission Impossible universe. If they can commit to that and have kind of an emotional send-off and almost thank you, Tom Cruise, for putting your life on the line 1,000 times, and just having enjoyable action set pieces and make it more cinematic in the way that kind of Fallout did, I think we're going to be in for something very special. So I'm very much looking forward to this one, but I do have that a little bit of a pause for concern because I don't know if Paramount are going to go, I don't know if they're going to commit to this being the final one. I remember there was that report that came out a few weeks ago where Paramount wanted to, I guess, market this as like the final one, but then Tom Cruise didn't want to have, he didn't want it to be marketed as if it's the final send-off for Ethan Hunt. So I think there's going to be a power struggle between those two, and kind of, I don't know, I think Tom Cruise doesn't have enough power to challenge Paramount and how they handle these type of movies. So we got to see where it goes. Again, if they commit to it, I'm going to be more excited than I am now, but I'm already super excited. Let's bring it on.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel that it was a return to form. I felt it seemed very similar to the first Dead Reckoning trailer. Like there was these sequences of previous movies, these words about the final kind of outing of Ethan Hunt. Everything's come to this point. You know, we're at the end of this journey, and you know, you get another one, and it has no finality to it. I will, however, give them props for their marketing here comparative to Dead Reckoning, because in Dead Reckoning they just oversaturated us with a singular stunt that you saw over and over and over, to the point that when it happened in the film itself, nothing. Yeah. You just felt nothing during it. So I do hope that there are good stunts in this, and they're hiding them this time, and they're not building entire trailers around the single stunt with entire breakdowns before you even see the movie. But I don't know. I mean, I've always found it a little hard to get behind Mission Impossible. I'll admit that. But you know, and I did enjoy Fallout, and I did enjoy Dead Reckoning to an extent. But I don't know. I don't feel anything in particular for this. I don't feel it's going anywhere new.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a bit hard with that because Mission Impossible, or at least since 4, 5, it's all been like similar sort of direction. You know, big bad, big stunts, Ethan saves the day, sort of things. But yeah, I'm with you guys on this one. I am excited for this trailer. It looks really, really good. But as Kai said, my biggest concern was in Dead Reckoning how it showed you the big stunt and how they did the big stunt before you even got to see the big stunt.
Yeah.
I mean, this, you could probably pick out what the big stunt is, But there's just so many in there. You got the water scene, you got the plane scene. Like, which one is it? It could be both. So hopefully they don't dive more into it. I'd rather prefer more stats, like, Tom Cruise held his breath for 24 hours underwater just to do the stunt or something like that. But yeah, I hope that's all that they give away. I think.
Just teasers to the complexity of a potential stunt that you can expect, and not them showing it, re-rolling it over and over again.
Yeah, because I think for any IMAX viewing I went to, it was just behind the scenes of that stunt.
Yeah.
Which I think behind the scenes prior to a Mission Impossible movie is stupid, because you kind of want to watch these stunts in like real time and be like, oh, on earth did they make that happen? How do they do that? That's real. But then they showed the BTS beforehand, and it's just like, oh, okay. And when he was motorcycling up that mountain, you're like, oh, okay, we know what's about to happen. Yeah, so I completely agree with you guys. As far as the enjoyment of the movies goes, they are just cinematic. I think that's really all they need to be. But this movie needs a ton of money. The budget's like $400 million, so you're looking at $800 million break even minimum.
And the other one bombed. Well, not bombed, but didn't do as well because it released a week before Oppenheimer.
Yeah, it got absolutely destroyed. Yeah. So they need to market it as the final one. It's not going to get to $1 billion. I think 800 is the ceiling, if they're lucky. And that's what it needs.
Yeah. The other trailer we saw was the live-action How to Train Your Dragon trailer. That comes out next year from DreamWorks. I'm pretty sure it was the original guys that did the animated one is doing this one.
He's writing, directing, yeah.
Because they said they want to do it properly, rather than have someone else come in and mess up what they did. So what do we think of this one?
James, this is your kind of a franchise that you beloved, that and Kung Fu Panda.
I do. No, I'm not Kung Fu Panda's Nayan's one.
You love Kung Fu Panda.
I do like Kung Fu Panda. I just don't like the fourth or the third.
Okay.
They're good. They're right. Okay, we're off topic. How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah, I love the that animated trilogy. I have them all on Steelbook. Beautiful covers. They're just really great, consistent films. They're not some of the best animation films that have ever been. They're not even close, but they're just really strong and they're really consistent. And they're just a great time that hit out the fields as well. But with this one, I don't know. I'm on kind of both sides of the coin here, because I was watching it and like, I can respect it. I'm like, wow, this looks really good. This is kind of like how I envision it. When we did Victor of the Picture, I'm like, okay, if there's a live action animated movie that could actually look really cool, it was going to be How to Train Your Dragon. It can almost be like Game of Thrones, like have that like medieval kind of feel and that big grand scale of the dragons and stuff. So I was like, okay, I can be optimistic about this. But then I watched the trailer. I respect the visual side, but I'm like, it's just so close to the original, just almost shot for shot. And they have guaranteed it's not a shot for shot remake. And I respect the director and writer of the trilogy doing this one, because I'm like, oh, okay, like. That's good if you like own something. You just want to make sure that the legacy and reputation doesn't get destroyed. But then again, I'm also like, oh, well, then what's going to be different about this? Because what new could he bring? If he's already done the original trilogy, he should have brought someone else that could do a different interpretation in terms of a live action scale. So yeah, I don't know. It looks great, but I don't know if I can be that excited, just because it was just way too familiar.
Yeah, what I think is interesting is that we're going to have a topic coming up soon where we're going to touch on the subject of whether or not you change things about it or not, change a lot about it, or you just remake it, right?
Yeah.
I think in a way, shot for shot or highly faithful adaptations where you're adapting from a book or you're adapting from something animated, it often doesn't work, because like, for example, if you're one example is actually anime and manga. So when a studio is adapting an anime, which is the video, from the manga, which is the comic, you and they're super faithful to it, you find that the pacing is really wacky. Like, it doesn't flow or move right at all, because the pacing in a book is completely different to the pacing in video format. So these are things that I would be interested to see. I mean, they're both movies, right? You just have an animated version, but the way an animated movie moves and flows is also a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if that can translate. And yeah, I'm with you. I think that what are we even getting here? Like, what is the point almost thing? And it almost brings me back to like the Lion King live action, where it's like, what can you actually do better here?
Yeah.
Than the animated counterpart.
I would say that's the case in most animation to live action remakes that aren't based on a source material prior to the animated movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited for it, of course.
Fair.
It does actually look pretty decent compared
does.
to some of the stuff we get nowadays. Like if you compare the Snow White trailer to this one, like the Disney has like a lot of money and DreamWorks doesn't have as much as them, but DreamWorks looks 10 times better. This looks 10 times
This would be
better.
DreamWorks, would it? Because
Is it not
isn't
DreamWorks?
DreamWorks just animation?
Universal?
Yeah, it would be under Universal. DreamWorks is just animation, but yeah.
Okay, Universal then. But still, they don't really do much animation stuff except for, what is it, Minions? Despicable Me. It's only the top two I can think of. But it still looks better than Snow White, where Disney pumps like millions of dollars into it.
Yeah.
Like even like the shot of the dragons flying and like the production design and even Toothless looks really, really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are right. It does look really much shot for shot. But I guess that's what people... It's only a teaser, so I guess a lot of the main complaints for these live-action remakes from Disney is that how it's not... You know, how they change things and it doesn't quite work. There are some cases where when they deviate from the source material, it's really, really good. But maybe what these guys are thinking is that we'll just give them a teaser where it's super faithful, you know, bring them in and then let them see after that.
That's a good point. Yeah, they might actually just try to bring people and get people excited, and then when we actually watch it, because I don't think like the first one was like an hour to an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
This I think would be 2 hours to 2 hours 15.
I hope not. I hope at least 145-ish.
You want them to be shorter? This movie?
I reckon it will be 2 hours.
Yeah, I want it to be longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually in a live action format, it kind of has to be for some reason. I guess it's because you have to like account for.
Reason.
I think might be because you have to like account for like the actors acting and like seeing their facial reactions and stuff like that. Whereas in animated, that's harder to do.
Sure, and I think there just needs to be more like logic across the board, because when you watch an animated movie, you can kind of get away with just like, I guess, characters teleporting somewhere. But like you got to kind of, it has to be a little bit more realistic and believable in live action format. So
Yeah.
Well, luckily they have dragons, so they can just fly.
But you're a big fan of the first one. Is there room to improve?
I think there is certain spots. I haven't seen it in a long, long time, so I can't pinpoint where they can improve on. But there could be room to for improvement for it, for sure. I feel most movies nowadays are like that, but...
It's going to be on the most anticipated list.
I mean...
2025? Maybe.
Oh my
Maybe. We'll
gosh.
see.
I mean, as someone who it doesn't really hold How to Train Your Dragons close to my heart, I might say that I'm not that blown away by like the supporting characters in it. Like I like Hiccup's sort of relationship with his father, where there's this sort of like strained distance between them, where the father doesn't really respect him.
Yeah.
But there's like no chemistry between him and Astrid, I don't think. In the animated film, I don't think they did that well, and
That's true.
I'm not blown away by the
one of the-
other random supporting characters in it.
And that's where they could improve on it.
Yeah,
On this time around.
and also in a live action format, because it's live action, you have the opportunity. Usually, what you should do is ground it more, because like you were saying before, you have to account for realism.
Yeah.
So maybe you can ground a little more and bring something out of it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. We'll keep on this animated train and talk about the opening weekend of Moana 2 and the Thanksgiving weekend, which was historical. So let's get into the stats. So Moana 2 itself, it opened with $386 million worldwide, which is the highest opening for an animated film ever worldwide. It's the biggest Thanksgiving opening ever. The weekend alone, it made $422 million domestically. This is across majority of the movies. So Moana 2 made $221 million domestically. Wicked made $117 million domestically, and Gladiator 2 made $44 million domestically. Over 30 million people went to the movies in the States over this Thanksgiving period, which is a lot. And currently, Moana 2 is sitting at $465 million worldwide. James, blown away by these stats?
No, not at all. If someone has been faithful to this podcast and listened to us, I said that Moana was going to be huge as soon as they announced that it was going to be going from a Disney Plus series to a film. And I knew that based on the notion that, or I guess the data, that Moana was the most watched movie on streaming in 2023. Above anything new, it was the most watched. Surprisingly, I don't know why, and I don't know why it's got a faithful following. It's a good, solid movie, but so I'm not surprised by this. And yeah, the highest worldwide opening for an animated movie. I guess that part's a little surprising. Like, I knew it was going to be big, and I knew it'd be $1 billion movie, but I didn't know it's going to be this big. And I don't think it comes near Inside Out 2. But it might give, Super Mario Bros. A run for its money, which I think that's $1.3 billion. Which is around The Incredibles 2, and those two are like the top 3 of the animated movies in terms of worldwide. But, I mean, good on it. Another one in the books for Disney. They need it after their tragic 2023. Yeah,
horrible,
absolutely
bomb
awful.
After bomb.
So, I'm not really stunned by this much at all. The Wicked stuff continues to blow me away. I think that's going to get around 500 million domestically. We'll see if it can get $1 billion, and then Wicked Part 2 next year. How high can that go? That could actually...
Might even get $1 billion again, or possibly even more, because
Yeah.
it got exceptional reviews.
And lots of people are loving it. Like, people at my work are talking about it. I'm like, I actually kind of want to see it now.
I didn't realize it was in 2 parts. I thought it was just one.
Yeah. Second one next year, which is kind of cool, like a back-to-back thing.
And the first one's quite long, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only 3 hours, 2 hours and 50 minutes, I think. Yeah, so these are exceptional results, and it's exactly what the market needed. Like, the last few months have just been dreadful. Joker bombing historically, and it's just been really dead ever since like summer kind of stopped. So yeah, no, good on the box office getting back to it. It's been a bad stretch for 2024 for the most part, except for the summer. And then, we'll see, because 2025 and 2026 are going to be the big ones to look out for. But pretty good. It's positive news, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Amazing how strong animation is within the box office.
Has been, yeah.
It's almost immune to the ravages of any of the other issues that plague the box office, with the exception of like COVID and, those sorts of things. But like, it won't matter if the movie itself is objectively bad, whether it's the Minions or whether it's, Mario Bros. Getting pretty bad reviews. No. It's still $1 billion plus. These movies are still making a ton of money, even with poor reception. So it's almost immune to that. And I think it really comes down to the fact that when a big animated film comes out, whether it's good or bad, people kind of don't have any other option than to watch it, because your kids want to see it. It's out, and you're not really spoiled for choice like the adults are. Yeah, and like and you got to account for, like, if a child wants to see it, then the sibling has to come along, and then the mother, and so then that becomes it's not 2 tickets for a couple, it's 4 tickets for a family. Correct.
Family pass.
It does give them a little bit of a boost there, but I think you are right. Animation is dominating right now. It's just the only thing why Moana 2, despite the highest worldwide opening, is because it's a really bad movie, and I think as soon as people watch it, they will not want to watch it again.
Are you expecting to see any significant drop-off, or do you think will do the same thing as Mario does and the Mario Brothers does, and just continues to stay strong until it reaches $1 billion?
It will stay strong enough because I don't think it's going to drop dramatically or anything, but I think it's going to be pretty steady. It's not going to have historic holds like Inside Out 2, where the second weekend was 100 million. It's not going to do that, I don't think. But I think what we are going to see is that, that steady drop-off and then a little bit of a boost in Christmas time. And that's why I think it's going to be quite competitive with Super Mario and Incredibles. So you could have the top 2 highest grossing animated movies in 1 year, which is wild to me.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think you guys cover everything perfectly. So.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm also blown away by these numbers as well. I'm more amazed that Gladiator 2 is still pulling in 44 million. That's like, what, 2-3-ish weeks in now?
It opened the same weekend as Wicked.
Oh, okay, well.
Yeah.
Still pretty good.
Yeah, they all had really strong holds.
Well, thankfully, almost all 3 of these films have completely different target audiences. Like, I would say Wicked actually has a completely different target audience to Moana 2.
Yeah,
It's more in the young adult
females
arena.
Yeah,
female
and then
arena.
the gladiators, the male ones.
Yep.
And you could kind of have like a gladiator. I don't know how to mix those two
I
words
don't
together.
know, all three, but it's a trifecta of really good releases that are targeting completely different segments.
Yeah, it kind of shows what you can do if you kind of have that competition on the same weekend. If they do kind of balance out two different demographics, they can actually help each other. I'm sure there are couples that did, Friday night they went to Wicked and then Saturday night they went to Thing, and they kind of help each other in that way. So
Yeah.
we need more of those kind of things.
Or even like overflow. So like Moana 2 sells out.
Yeah.
The next family friendly movie would be Wicked.
Yeah.
So they'll get tickets to Wicked.
I can almost,
I
can almost imagine a situation where like the girlfriend convinces her boyfriend, like, let's go see Wicked, and if you do, then next week we'll go see Gladiator.
Yeah.
Where it's like that sort of
thing,
agreement.
100%, yeah.
But it's all positive for box office and cinema industry at the end of the day. Let's just hope it keeps it up, and next year and the year after that we'll start to getting more into the norm pre-COVID.
And then the Lion King comes out.
Mufasa.
Mufasa the Lion King.
Yeah.
That one's not going to be a billion. But I think it is going to go quite high.
We'll see.
We'll see. It's Sonic the Hedgehog you got to watch out for. Tracking very strongly, by the way.
As it should.
Shut up.
All right. We're moving on to some 2026 films, or film, and that is Christopher Nolan's next film. So we still have no idea on the plot or what it's about or what it's called. It's still being kept under wraps. But the last we heard of it was that Tom Holland and Matt Damon were set to star. Since then, on our massive hiatus, a lot more actors and actresses have been put towards this project. So now we have Tom Holland, Matt Damon, Zendaya, Lupita Nyong'o, Robert Pattinson, Anne Hathaway, and Charlize Theron are all part of this film now, and that is like A-listers right there. That's a stacked cast.
Yep.
And then don't forget, there's still going to be like those occasional side characters as well, where it's well-known names that pop up here and there through as well. So I don't even know what question to ask for this.
Are you excited?
Yeah, are you excited? What do you think of this cast? Do you think this cast could like gel well together?
It doesn't really do much for me, or should I say move the needle much in terms of my anticipation for a Nolan movie, because I think we are seeing this kind of trend with these kind of really renowned directors, Quentin Tarantino with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you had Denis Villeneuve with the Dune series, and obviously Nolan. They can bring together these ensemble pieces, and we are seeing it a lot more, so it doesn't really move the needle much. And we saw it with Nolan and Oppenheimer, a stacked cast across the board. So I think it is just the power that these directors have in play, and they can actually recruit, like say Anne Hathaway, hey Anne Hathaway, I have like a cameo for you, and they'll immediately jump to the opportunity to work with that director. Bad example because she's worked with him before, but I am really excited. I think the thing that does get me the most, not excited, but intrigued is the Tom Holland one there. Because we've seen Matt Damon in a Nolan movie, and I think he is going to be the lead in it because of the first announcement. But Tom Holland finally having like a really strong director behind his back, we're going to see where he's going to be able to go with his acting. Is he great, or is he just a good Spider-Man? We're going to have that answered.
Because his only good thing that he has been in is Spider-Man, and maybe, what was that tsunami one? The Island?
Impossible?
Oh, The Impossible, that's one.
Yeah.
That's probably the two best things I've seen him. Everything else has just been mid.
Yeah, just really inconsistent. But I think he is a great actor, and I think he can put on great performances. He's just chosen really poor projects to be behind. So this is a great one in his favor. Obviously, Zendaya, I don't think she needs to prove much more. She was great in Challenges. These are the kind of young actors that are working with these kind of directors. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see how this cast gels together, and this cast doesn't really indicate on what this movie is or what it could be about, but it's a ton of big names. They only do add to the excitement, but it doesn't move it where I'm like, oh, okay, it's like it's my number one most anticipated for 2026, at least not yet. But I'm still going to be very excited because it's Nolan, and these are some great names here.
Yeah, I'm completely with you there. It doesn't move the needle much for me. If they announced that what genre it is, then it's definitely going to.
Just waiting for horror. Eh?
Oh, I don't know if he'll take it. I don't know if he'll go that
It's
far.
going to be comedy.
Tenet 2.
No, gosh. If it's Tenet 2, man, I'm checked out.
Oh, Robert Pattinson is in it, so it's looking likely.
It's the end of a beautiful friendship.
Oh boy. Let's hope it's not that. But yeah, I don't know. I think I really need to wait and see for what genre it is and what the at least the loose story will be about before I hold any sort of excitement. I'm always up for a Nolan film, but it is really dependent on that genre for me. I want to see him explore things like he did with Oppenheimer, go in a completely different avenues and try new things out.
Mm-hmm. So what if he goes, sorry, Nan, I'll let you go next, but if he goes with a really, something he's been really strong in, I think sci-fi has been really strong, and if he goes back to there, you're like, oh, it's not new or original for you,
It's not that I wouldn't be excited for it, it's just that I wouldn't be as excited as I would be if he were to announce that he's doing, say, I don't know, like a romance epic, or maybe
Zendaya and Tom Holland.
Yeah.
yeah. Or say a horror, which is really a rare uncharted territory for big directors. You really only have like Stanley Kubrick as an example, who's done the full suite of genre.
I think that's what Nolan's going to go for, eh?
I hope he does, because it's really a testament to whether or not a director is
he's chasing the GOAT status.
He's really chasing that upper tier status. Yeah.
What about you, Nam?
Yeah, I really like this cast. I like how it's got like some familiar faces for him, like Damon, Patterson, and Hathaway, but then we also have like new up-and-comers like Holland and Zendaya. Like, sure, they've been in like the Spider-Man films, but now they're under Nolan.
Yeah.
And then also Lupita and Charlize Theron as well. Like, they haven't been in a Nolan film. I'd just love to see what Christopher Nolan does with them and their performances and what they can bring out of them, because both of them are really fantastic actresses. So it's like pretty much seeing what he could do with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like, this is looking good. I mean, we need a lot more details before we can like probably give proper thoughts and get an idea on where this film's going and who's going to be playing who as what.
Yeah.
But until that comes, just based on this cast, it's looking damn good.
It's looking good. Yeah, I'm excited to see Robert Pattinson and Tom Holland together.
Yeah.
But Matt Damon, I just don't really care about that casting at all. He's just always in a Nolan movie.
He's just not. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he's a good actor and good writer, but at the end of the day, like I don't. He doesn't have that presence on screen that really brings it anywhere new.
Yeah, but I know he'll be good in it as well. So it's like, yeah.
Like he's good in Oppenheimer, but I think a million other actors could have done that role.
Yeah, 100%.
Just as good.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to something that's not doing good casting right now, or potential casting is the Harry Potter TV series that's coming out. I don't know, probably 26. It's obviously each book is going to be its own season. We have a few stats here. So right now, 32,000 kids have auditioned for the roles. The series is being filmed in the same studio as the movies. And then we have a bunch of casting or potential rumor casting announcements for Dumbledore, Hagrid, Snape, McGonagall, and Voldemort. So what we did, I think, a couple of years ago is we fan casted all these roles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick back to our fan cast for each character, read through that, and then I'll tell you who is being eyed up for that particular role.
Okay.
So for our fan cast for Albus Dumbledore, we have Jeffrey Rush, Bill Nighy, Michael Caine, Mark Rylance, Ian McKellen, and Anthony Hopkins. That was in Movie Games' fan cast. And right now the top two people that have been eyed for this role is Mark Rylance and Mark Strong.
So we actually got a prediction or a fan cast within the realm of accuracy.
Yeah.
I had no idea that we actually fan casted Mark Rylance.
Yeah, we did have it in there. You are short on supply in terms of, because we were trying to look for British and we were trying to look for old.
Yeah. But also you're also looking for someone who's capable of emotional dexterity. They have emotional dexterity in their capability, in their weaponry.
Yeah.
And a lot of those actors absolutely have that. Some of them don't. I think Jeffrey Rush was actually a really good pick as well.
I do like, yeah.
Now upon thinking it, I would not be mad if Jeffrey Rush also got it. But I'm actually not opposed to Mark Rylance. I actually think he can do a role that is very sweet and tender, which you can see many times over, but then he can also be slightly threatening.
Yeah.
I don't know if you may not have seen, you've seen Don't Look Up, where he plays an almost like autistic Elon Musk sort of character.
I have I've pretty much forgotten his role though.
Yeah, he's like, I can even predict how you'll die. And that whole thing.
Yeah.
Where he's a real asshole. But he's in another movie called it's not called The Tailor, something like that. And
Bridge of Spies. I've seen him in that.
Yeah, but he plays a sort of tender old man who underneath is actually like a gangster, or was a gangster in his past life, and I've seen his variety. Not quite at the point where it 100% convinces me, but
Yeah, well, based on some of the other casting I'm going to talk about, this looks like fucking A+, honestly. So I'll take Mark Rylance any day at this point. I feel bad for complaining when I first heard about this. But, I'll stick to my opinion here. And I don't like it. I don't particularly see it. Well, I think he'd be bad. No, it's just... It doesn't fit. And this is my problem with the entire concept of a Harry Potter reboot series. I don't know how you can improve, similar to how we were talking about How to Train Your Dragon before, in terms of casting at least. But yeah, Mark Rylance, I think, I think he can do some work. I think he can play the real soft side of Dumbledore and, that kind of calm stoicism side of him. But when it comes to him actually kind of... being a little bit of a gangster, I just can't see it, and I haven't seen that movie. So
the thing is in the books, the whole thing, the whole kind of plot twist behind Dumbledore is that he's been seen as this sort of beacon of light the whole way through until right to the final book. You kind of realize he's not. He's kind of morally grey.
Yeah, 100%,
like he's very cold.
Yeah.
He's like willing to sacrifice Harry for killing Voldemort. To kill Voldemort. He knows that Harry's like a means to an end.
Yeah.
And he thinks about it all very like coldly and calculatively.
Yeah.
And warm but calculated is probably the best way to describe what Dumbledore is in the books.
He genuinely cares for Harry, and I love their relationship kind of
for sure
bloom as we get through the series. So yeah, I'm on board for Mark Rylance just based on all this other information we're going to go through with this series, but. Like our picks, man, they're still so much better, even though Mark Rylance was one of them. The one that we didn't do, and I thought about later on, Richard E. Grant, I think that's perfect because he can play that like kind of secret evil in a way, and then but that kind of really warm side as well. But Mark Strong's delusional. Like what the hell are you doing?
Mark Strong's insane.
That's stupid. He's
absolutely ridiculous.
He's way too young for a start. He doesn't have hair for another start. And then like his...
They can change all that.
Yeah, but his like line delivery in most of his other films are just, it's just the same. It's always like that same tempo.
It's very hard.
Same tone.
Of course.
Like he doesn't emote or, show like emotions through his different voice from like being angry or... It's always just like, hello.
Yeah. There's never a whisper to any of his words. It's always just very blunt and direct. So yeah, I think that's absolutely delusional. If he gets casted, I just Dumbledore's such a key part. I don't know how I could even watch that. It would just be so weird.
I think, as you say, going forward, these other choices, Mark Rylance is like the best pick you could ever imagine compared to...
I know. It just keeps going down so hard.
Yes.
So hard. All right, Nay, what's our next one?
Cool. The next one I'll do is Hagrid. So what we fan casted was Nick Frost, Jack Black, John Goodman, Brendan Fraser, George Garcia, and Richard E. Grant.
Richard E. Grant. Oh, shit, we did that. Yeah.
And who is being eyed up right now is Brett Goldstein. And those of you that don't know who that is, he plays Roy Kent in Ted Lasso, the angry guy. So take it away, boys.
This is delusional. This actually gets me angry because it's an absolute shit stain on the character of Hagrid. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, unless he's come to an audition, which I know he hasn't, it could be because he's just being eyed up at the moment, according to sources. But who the hell's making those decisions? Who's eyeing these people up? Like, you can't watch Roy Kent in Ted Lasso, played by Brett Goldstein, and be like, oh my God, we got our Hagrid boys. Let's go get this guy. Let's go poach him. Like, no, it's absolutely ridiculous. They don't understand the character of Hagrid at all. Hagrid he's big, he's large, but he's also gentle and soft. He's a friendly giant, a BFG, if you will. Credit to Mark Rylance. But honestly, man, all of our fan casts are better than that. I'll take Jack Black over Brett Goldstein. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. But, I don't know why we chose that one. It's just, it kind of has that kind of look and feel to him. As far as our choices really went, I do love John Goodman. I would love Brendan Fraser as him. Like, I just think Brendan Fraser kind of has the right temperament, and he can just really draw empathy from the viewers, which is kind of what Hagrid is all about as well. So
And he's so lovable.
Yeah.
Like, just out.
He's actually the best pick
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
he actually is.
He is good. I like it. So Brett Goldstein is Hagrid. Yeah,
See, with
I'm
Brett
done.
Goldstein, it reminds me a lot of, and not a lot of, only maybe more nerdier people will remember this, but the character of Killy in The Hobbit. He's the guy who is the love interest with like Evangeline Lilly's character.
Yeah.
He's like the attractive dwarf.
Who's this?
Killy in The Hobbit.
Oh yeah.
It's one with
And-
the dark hair.
He's like dark hair. And he looks like he's like walked off the runway, and all the other dwarves look like dwarves. They all got beards and like big and motley and like weird looking. And then he's just sort of like chiseled jaw, like handsome dude. And that's what I think Brett Goldstein's gonna look like in this. He's gonna have like a normal guy's face, but then he's gonna have like all these prosthetics on that you'd be like, I can kind of tell. Unless they got the Penguins prostheticist, come in, then I don't see this.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. This is a horrible casting. Like who's actually doing the casting for this? Because like right now they're taking hours. We haven't gotten into like the biggest of hours yet. That's still to come.
Yeah.
They might as well just read our website or contact
Just
us.
do casting based on that.
Yeah, I know, but
See who we're eyeing up.
yeah, I just like we've seen him. Well, I have only seen Brett Goldstein in two things, and that's Ted Lasso and at the end in Thor: Love and Thunder. And
Yeah.
if the main thing is in Ted Lasso, and he just doesn't play that sort of lovable, friendly sort of person, he plays a dickhead.
Yeah.
There's no credit to saying that he can't do that. I mean, we did see some glimpses with him where he was sort of lovable when he was interacting with his niece, the little thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he just doesn't give off the energy of Hagrid. And
Yeah, not at
perhaps
all.
he can, but you can go like deeper into it, like how, like as Kyle was alluding to, and you put all the prosthetics and the costuming over him, like you're gonna tell it's just some like, handsome young dude in that,
Yeah.
and it's just not gonna have that fit, that feel that we had with Hagrid beforehand. Honestly, Brett Goldstein could be a vote for the next person we're going to talk about, so I'm going to stick with that.
And also, he's too young to play Hagrid, I feel.
Well, talking about that in terms of like the ages of these actors playing them, they are going to stick with canonical ages of the characters. So like Severus Snape's like, I think he's 30, 31 in the book, so that's why they're going to go for young. So they're going to be more age
Appropriate. I mean, that's
Yeah,
okay.
that's
I have
good
no
then.
problem with that.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's something interesting and new and more faithful to the books, and that's where it should be going, but it doesn't seem like it's going to go that direction. So, yeah.
Yeah, because the next one we're talking about is old Severus Snape. Put your boxing gloves on. So we fan casted Adam Driver, Keanu Reeves, Benedict Cumberbatch, Cillian Murphy, Charlie Cox, and Johnny Depp. And the front runner right now, or the person that's being eyed, is, I don't even know if I'm going to pronounce this right, is Papa Isidou. Isidou?
I don't know the name. To his credit, I've never seen him in anything. And going back to our fan cast, I actually don't like any of those picks. And
No, nor do I.
I
think they're all
can't.
terrible.
I don't know any actor that can actually play Snape. I think what Alan Rickman did was just, it's so hard to mimic. You could find it you could probably count the actors on one hand that could play it somewhat as good as him. I think what he just did with the character is it's so hard to replicate. And so our fan casting is pretty weak there, and I'll admit that, because there's just no one that I can actually be like, oh, he would be good. I think Adam Driver is good. He's not British. He's American.
I think he probably has a look, that long black hair, that like cold sort of face.
Then we go into the point of like, is it just because he has long black hair that he can play it? Like, and I don't want to, make a choice on casting just because they have the same hairstyle as Snape. But I mean, and I think they should stick with British actors along the way. But yeah, Papa Iseru, awful choice. They're just changing far too much about the character. And this was my whole worry about this entire reboot. Besides the fact that they're rebooting something that doesn't need to be rebooted. Like, we've talked about this before. Harry Potter's not something that needs to be rebooted. It's the fucking wizarding world. Like, there's so much stories and characters to explore here. Like, do Marauders series, for God's sakes. Why do you have to reboot the one thing that worked?
Exactly.
Do something else and find a way that makes it work. But no, they have to just stick with the laziest, cheapest, and easiest option for them. And what they're doing here, I think they are, and just to put it bluntly, I think they are going to go very woke with it. Based on that, we'll see what happens. But I don't like using the term woke when it comes to describing movies or TV or anything like that. I don't think it's always a fair thing to say. And sometimes when they do, like, in quotation marks, go woke, sometimes they are actually better. So we'll have to see, but I think woke's just a way that people can kind of understand what I'm getting at and my point of view. But yeah, they're changing too much, and it's going to get to the point where you're going to piss off a lot of people by doing that. Especially since Alan Rickman was the one who kind of mastered it, and everyone beloved his performance. Yeah, this is just kind of shitting on everything. And if this is an indication on where they're going with this franchise and this reboot and what they're going to put into it in terms of, like, I guess, messaging or agendas, I'm out. I'm not even going to start it. If this continues on throughout the entire casting process and we're going to hear about it in the story and it's going to be, like, changing too much from the books, the whole point of redoing this was to stick to the books more faithfully. A decade-long series, each season is dedicated to the books. I'm sure there'll be 2 seasons for, like, the last one or something like that. That's the whole point, sticking more faithfully that the movies could go. That's the whole point of this. But if they're going to change all this shit into something else, then yeah, I'm out. I'm not going to start it. But yeah, this one makes me angry.
Yeah.
Do you want a shot?
Huh?
Do you need a shot?
I need the bottle, my friend. Give me the rest.
I'm not quite at James's point of feeling that way, but yeah, some of these casting choices certainly evoke that. I mean, this decision with Snape, it really comes down to, like, who is Snape? What is the feeling you get when you read that character? And to be honest, when I was reading the book, I don't really picture Alan Rickman in that role. It's just Alan Rickman absolutely killed it in that role. Mm-hmm. But if Snape is supposed to be in this sort of, like, early 30s, your options are actually relatively wider than you think. If you're kind of trying to go for the black-haired sort of emo guy, in my head I picture someone who's, like, very gaunt and sickly, almost kind of like the guy off Sandman, that Tom Sturridge guy on the Sandman on Netflix.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, he's got, like, black hair and he's very kind of gaunt looking, kind of looks like he's like anemia.
Yeah.
And he's about 34 or something, or 35. He's British.
Yeah.
And he's quite a good actor. And that's the sort of, like, feel I would think for Snape. I don't really know about this Papu guy. I've seen him in a couple of things. I've seen him in Men. He plays a brief role in it of, like, her boyfriend who's, like, threatening to commit suicide. And he's in some other stuff. I think he's in Black Mirror as well. But I don't know. It's just not... It's just the most sort of, like, weird casting choice alongside Brett Goldstein that I can think of, where it's like no part of that really reflects the character in the book.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, Snape shouldn't be someone that's, like, a handsome young dude. It just doesn't work for what the Snape character is, getting bullied and all that stuff. And also Slytherin's meant to, represent elitists and kind of, like, racist in the wizarding world. So it's going to be a weird, really weird dynamic. He just doesn't fit it.
I mean, I don't think Snape has to be ugly, but I think that Snape has to evoke that loner feel. But he has to feel like he's always been a loner and always will be a loner, and he's always dedicated himself to things that, he'll never have people behind him for.
Well, he's described in the books as someone who would be unattractive. So you need to have that kind of off-looking kind of person. Not in a mean way or anything, but it has to just look like you see that guy and you're like, oh, he's bad. Like, he's evil. But you're going to get like this handsome, like young dude, and it's going to be like, oh, he must be a good teacher. He looks really onto his game, well groomed. It's kind of like the Brett Goldstein as Hagrid, not some dirty, just some like, nice, handsome young bloke under like all these prosthetics and a big costume. Like,
Yeah. That's like one role you have to get right, just because of the previous.
This is fucking Netflix Harry Potter, honestly.
Yeah. All right. The other one is Professor McGonagall. So what we fan casted was Emma Thompson, Olivia Colman, Michelle Gomez, Jennifer Connelly, Judi Dench, and Melissa McBride. And the current frontrunner, or who's been eyed up for the role, is Sharon Horgan. She was on Game Night. She was one of the friends, dates, girlfriends, whatever. So what do you think about this casting as McGonagall?
I really like this casting, actually. I think that this, alongside Mark Rylance, is probably one of the better choices. There are some casting in here that is actually okay. I think that if you're going with canonical ages, then she aligns more with it. It's going to be hard to undo the image of Maggie Smith as McGonagall, the sort of like older, stricter woman, but I like this actress. I think that she could do a good job as McGonagall, but it really comes down to the cast that surrounds her, that you can kind of feel a feel for that world, right? Like with the casting you saw in the original Harry Potter films, they all kind of reflect the world accurately. They all kind of feel a part. Like the casting is consistent across the board. And if we feel inconsistent casting, it's just going to throw the whole thing off.
100%.
So it doesn't matter if you cast some roles really well. You cast the wrong. If you cast any of them quite wrong, quite important ones, which, I mean, we've not even heard the most important. Harry, Ron, and Hermione are pivotal.
They're going to be hard to really get a judge on them until we see them.
Correct.
Really.
And they're going to be kids that we probably never heard of, most likely.
100%.
So, yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I like this one, actually. I think it's probably my favourite out of all of them. Ahead of Mark Rylance as well. I guess the ages do throw me off. I think I'm so close to the original Harry Potter series. Just to see them all young would just be really weird and off, and that kind of goes against like how I feel about this entire reboot. Is that if you change too much, people are going to be angry that you weren't faithful. But if you stick too close to what was before, people are going to complain, what's the point? We're watching the same thing. So that is the biggest problem they're facing here. So I am a little biased, admittedly, but I like this one. I'm at least, I like it enough to be open about it. And yeah, I think she was great. I think she can, be that kind of empathetic teacher, but have a little bit of a stricter side to her as well. So yeah, I think this is one that could work. But yeah, you did make a good point. They all kind of have to work together.
Correct.
Yeah, it can't just be one or two good castings that are holding this up.
Yeah, that's true. Otherwise, it's not going to make it past, 2 seasons, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think this is probably the best one we've seen so far. Just looking at her photo, she just gives me Molly Weasley vibes, just on the base look. But
I like that one, actually.
yeah, so
She's a really good pick for Molly Weasley.
So if she doesn't get this role, I hope they consider her for Molly Weasley.
That's a good one, yeah.
But yeah, no, completely in agreement with you guys.
As far as our fan cast go, Olivia Colman. Great for Professor McGonagall.
Yep, our fan cast for Molly Weasley was Emma Thompson, Olivia Colman, Isla Fisher, Kate Winslet, Emily Blunt, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge. So yeah, Olivia Colman's like the perfect
Interesting.
She's great. She'd be great as McGonagall, I think. Yeah. Olivia Colman, but yeah, I think it's a bit of a pipe dream.
I'm surprised they're not trying to hit. No, they're going canonically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I don't know. Let's move on.
Okay, cool, because we've got one more to go through. And that's Lord Voldemort. So who we fan casted was Jamie Campbell Bower, Benedict Cumberbatch, Mark Strong, Charles Dance, Cillian Murphy, and Matt Smith. And the person that is currently being looked at or being endorsed is Cillian Murphy as Voldemort. So
He's not been looked. He's just been endorsed by Ralph Fiennes, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. So what do you think of that endorsement? Or what do you think of Cillian Murphy as
Personally, I think it's a good choice. I think that Cillian has a cold air about him. He can, and I say that as someone who's not even seen Peaky Blinders. He can portray someone who he can put a face on where you don't want to know what he's thinking, sort of thing. But he's like the nicest guy in real life. It's like it's one of those things. So I think that he has an air of mystery about him as well, like not just as a sort of, also as an actor, but also as the characters he plays. Like he can often play someone that you feel like you don't know the full picture of him when he's playing a role. You feel like he's hiding things, which Voldemort very much is. He's always hiding things and scheming and that sort of thing. So. I mean, I think he's a great pick, but if we're going with canonical ages, I don't know if that's necessarily the correct one. I do think the best pick is Jamie Campbell Bower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he plays the role of Vecna in Stranger Things, or 1 instead of 11. And he manages to play a very cold, sort of creepy Slytherin-esque type role that really resonates with that Voldemort feel. It's just so accurate to Voldemort.
Yeah.
He feels like a young Tom Riddle. And I don't think we need someone who's necessarily an older person to play Voldemort, because he's such a prosthetics-based character.
Yeah.
And he's so yoked with dark magic that, he's retained his youth through like 7 Horcruxes, that it doesn't matter what age they are when you cast them.
Well, yeah, because Voldemort's technically 71. I just looked it up.
But
it doesn't count like his death, and he's just staying in that
Well,
kind
by the time he dies, right, he's actually still very young, like when he dies. Because he's
not technically, but like yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, because he created like Horcrux. He created his first Horcrux when he was at Hogwarts, right?
Yeah.
So he started gaining literally eternal life while he was at Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Which started changing him. So
making him look like a demon and stuff. Yeah, honestly, I kind of stick to everything you say. That if Cillian gets the role, I don't think I'd be disappointed, but it doesn't again move the needle for my anticipation. I'm like, oh, that's kind of I'm keen to see what that would look like, but it's not like, oh my god, okay, let's go, we're ready. But Jamie Campbell Bower, perfect choice. I like it so much that I cannot choose anything else. I cannot see anything beyond that kind of vision. Because as Kind covered, he's perfect, and then you put him in prosthetics, he's perfect as well. We saw it with Vecna. So he's perfect for the role, and he would do Ralph Fiennes justice. It'd be almost like a different interpretation, having the kind of younger side to it as well. So I'm not too fussed if Cillian gets it, but there are better options out there. But Cillian is one of the stronger options out of the, I guess, vast majority. I'm surprised they haven't chosen some random person they've fucking pulled off the street and been like, we're going to eye you up for this role, because everything else has just been dog shit.
Yeah. Well, thankfully that one's just an endorsement and not legitimate.
Oh, yeah.
So don't forget about that too.
Yeah, because then they're not going to do it.
So Jamie Campbell Bower could potentially be in play.
No, they're not going to do it.
could be, but it's pretty unlikely.
Yeah.
No, he's probably going to play like Professor Quirrell or something like that.
Well, it's half.
He'll be cast as Neville.
Or Crab or Goyle, one of them two.
Oh, just awful. Draco. He could be an alright Draco. No, he's so old, actually. Damn it. Yeah, because they got to do it from a kid. Yeah.
They might be able to do Lucian.
Lucius?
Oh, I could see that, yeah.
I'd be alright with that. I could also see Cillian as Lucius as well. put like long white hair on him.
That'd be good.
Yeah,
Maybe too small. Of a
especially
role
with
for
that
him,
like
though.
piercing blue eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank God we're moving on from that topic, man.
Yeah, that's the last one. I've tortured James enough.
Yes.
We'll move on now. So there's some details coming out about Joseph Gordon-Levitt's new film. He's not actually starring in it; he'll be directing it. The film will be produced by Ryan Johnson, and Anne Hathaway will star in the film. And right now, the base plot is it's a thriller based on AI. So with these sort of 4 things here and the base plot or premise of the film, could you guys get on board with that?
No. Don John wasn't good, and he directed that, and I just don't really have an interest in what Joseph Gordon-Levitt has in terms of directing. I mean, Ryan Johnson being attached could be seen as a show of support, but they've worked together, so it may just be as a courtesy thing. He's not proven to me to be a capable director.
What about the fact that Anne Hathaway signed some faith that she's chosen a good project here and believes in the project?
She's chosen bad projects before.
Dark Knight Rises.
Stellar.
No. I mean, this is as big to me as, Edward Norton doing a directorial film, or, Chris Evans with his directorial film. The actor turned director is, honestly, it's often quite rare it turns out well.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are some good ones out there.
There are good ones. Yeah, Bradley Cooper.
John Krasinski.
Yeah, Jordan Peele.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Well, John Krasinski, we'll see.
pardon? Quiet Place.
Yeah.
Quiet Place 2.
If.
Have you seen F?
No.
Can't make judgments in Kenya.
No,
It's
but
positively ranked.
Yeah, but it's not like a great movie or anything
But you haven't seen it.
from what I've heard.
Yeah. What if it's great?
What if they're just people that don't understand cinema?
Who?
People that you've heard from.
It's about the masses, not about the critics.
What is this?
No, we're just winding him up.
Maybe the people that told.
No, but I do think Joseph Krasinski overall is a...
John.
Did I say Joseph?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
Joseph.
said Joseph Krasinski.
Yeah, John Krasinski. I think overall he has actually turned a good one. I don't know where I can actually feel about this until I kind of see it, because it is one of those cases where is it going to be a bad one or a good one? But I mean, it's good that Joseph Gordon-Levitt has kind of come back, because he's been disappearing for ages, or at least I haven't seen anything or heard about anything he's really been in for a while now, and hopefully that's kind of given him the time to, I guess, really get invested in the director's chair and knowing the responsibilities, and then being faithful towards that. Kind of what John Krasinski had after the Office. He had that really cold stretch, and he probably used that time to really know the ins and outs of directing and crafting the story to how he'll feel. I hope that Ryan Johnson and Hathaway being a part of this project is more of an endorsement rather than like a thank you or a gesture of any kind. And a thriller based on AI, that's interesting. We've seen it done before, but there's nothing that about this that's like, oh my, like this is like a consideration for most anticipated. At the end of the day, I think we're just going to have to see what the end result is and go from there. If it's great, then Joseph Gordon-Levitt's on my kind of like radar in terms of directors. But if it's like just mid or bad, it's like I kind of saw this coming.
Yeah. I'm excited that Anne Hathaway's attached to star, and just it's a thriller based on AI. Especially nowadays where AI is becoming more and more prominent.
Yeah.
You can do a lot more with it. Back in the day, it was like stuff like iRobot. But you can do a lot more now. It's more...
Dead Reckoning.
Yeah, like
There's-
a less physical presence and just more of a network presence.
Yeah.
But
That's
there's
what
so
AI is.
many other directors out there that if you heard they're doing a movie about AI, that would be interesting. Like Joseph Gordon-Levitt is like, it's not that he's like an unproven director. He's a provenly not that amazing director.
What has he done?
Don John
Don John.
with Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, I don't know, like, I think the fact that Ryan Johnson's attached might be some sort of endorsement, but I don't know. I mean, I would rather see Jordan Peele tackle like an AI movie or someone that you know you're going to get something really interesting, thematic, and like deep, and or like Ryan Coogler, or I don't know, just someone attacking it in a different way. You know, you're going to get something really interesting and in depth.
Mm-hmm. I would, in terms of that, absolutely. There's so many directors we could name that would do something better with than Joseph Gordon-Levitt with AI, absolutely. But I do actually think the Rian Johnson producing is a measure of faith here. So I don't think it's a gesture at all. Because producing, it's not just like, my endorsement or whatever. It's like, I'm funding your project. I believe in this. I have a stake in it. And then deliver me results. So for him and his, I guess, production company to actually have, be behind this financially, there's some faith there. But then I go back to my opinion of Rian Johnson, where I think he's a hit or miss kind of guy. He can do some really, really great stuff, but he also can actually kind of flop every now and again. Yeah. Knives Out was great. Glass Onion, not so much. And then, what was it, Last Jedi?
Mm-hmm. Not so great.
What else has he done?
He did, what's it called again? Oh, man, people listening are going to get annoyed.
Yeah. What is it, man?
I don't know.
It's the one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis.
Oh, Looper?
Looper, yeah,
that's right.
Good. Yeah, that's a great one. So, yeah. Again, I think we're going to have to see what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
Right, moving on, and some big news here is Dune Part 2. So news has come out now officially that Hans Zimmer's score in Dune Part 2 is no longer eligible for Oscar and BAFTA nomination. However, it is eligible for Golden Globes and Critic Choice. Main reasoning behind this is due to some elements of the score being used from Dune Part 1, and it just went past that threshold of the Academy's sort of criteria, which doesn't make it eligible anymore.
Yeah, the criteria is 20%. Yeah. So it has to be, I guess, over 80% fresh music used. But this is, once again, the Academy Awards just discrediting themselves, and the BAFTAs too, for that sake. Like, it's a sequel. There's motifs that, are associated with characters and story and part of the thematics. You can't just make it non-eligible because it uses some of the first one. And I think he won the Oscar for the first one, right? Hans Zimmer?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah. And I get it, but score it's not just the music piece. How does it fit in the movie? How does it, I guess, elevate the emotion or the intensity, or how does it fit? That's how the music is in movies. So it's a completely stupid way to measure if something should be ineligible or not. If it's the same stuff used at the same times and doesn't fit well, then I guess that, I don't know if it should make it eligible, but it's not worthy of a nomination. So it's all in how it's used. And honestly, the Dune 2 score is one of my favorite aspects of the movie. And we are just going to not make it eligible for a nomination because it uses the same ones as the first one, despite it actually elevating the film to an even higher greatness than it already is. It's just a discredit to the entire, craftsmanship that goes behind that. It's an absolute stupid thing. Yeah, it's just annoying.
Yeah, I pretty much share the same opinion as you. Mm-hmm. Like, you've got motifs, you've got stuff attached to characters, et cetera, and I think that it's really dumb to put, I think there should be some limitations if it's like, it's a stupid amount is the same, sure. Mm-hmm. But Lord of the Rings does this. It uses the same motif over and over again, but in slightly different adjusted ways. And it's like, well, so all you have to do is slightly adjust it, and then now it's eligible.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, technically now, because I changed it by 10%, it's actually considered to be a different score.
Yeah, and the tempo slows down by 3%.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, this is actually different music because I reduced the tempo slightly. It's like, how stupid is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is all very stupid, and it just clearly goes to show that the Academy needs to change their criteria. Not so much for score, but just for score, but also like other categories as well, is that they need to really like look into it and just actually define it as what is the best of that year, rather than having all these little other technicalities and stuff like that to skew it towards a potential favorite.
Yeah, because how can you really like determine what's eligible and what's not? They are determining the eligibility based on how the score sounds, because obviously it's closely related to the first one. But then when they actually go to nominate and decide who wins, it's about how the movie works within the film. If you have a great score with a great pieces of music, but they're off-putting, they're played at just silent moments and weird spots, it's not going to be nominated. So why is the eligibility side of things different to how they measure the success and I guess the nominations and wins in this? It's just two different sides here competing, and it just doesn't make sense. There needs to be consistency across the board.
Yeah.
Very stupid. All right, moving on. We are going into the National Board of Review's early award contenders. This is a good judge.
Yep.
We'll just do pretty much the big player stuff and then also their top films. We'll split it off so we can discuss it in between each. So best film is Wicked. Best director is John M. Chu for Wicked. Best actor is Daniel Craig for Queer. And best actress is Nicole Kidman for Baby Girl. Any thoughts surrounding those?
Not much thoughts. It's just like my only really opinion is like, is that all? Like,
Yeah.
It's such a bizarre first start to this award season that Wicked is taking out the top honors here, and especially for directing as well. In terms of the National Board of Review, there's not much correlation between the one that wins that and the Best Picture, but there is a lot of correlation between the best films that National Board of Review does and the Best Picture nominees. So this is at least a statement on Wicked's side of things where it's like, it is going to be a big awards plan. It is going to be a Best Picture nominee. It's just like, can it take out the top honors? And it seems like it's got a good start here. It's got a good fan base behind it. It's also got the box office, which I think the Academy Awards is wanting to praise those movies that are making a lot of money. We've seen it with Top Gun, at least nominations-wise, Joker, all that kind of stuff. So they want to play to the masses a little bit more to get more viewership. So Wicked's going to be a big play here. I think that's what it says. In terms of Daniel Craig, nominated for Queer by...
I've heard he's amazing in Queer.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't heard too much great stuff about the film.
No, I've not heard great things about the film. I've heard great things about him.
Right, yeah.
In the
Luca
film.
Guadagnino releasing 2 movies this year.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, yeah.
I feel that might be one of those films where it's just purely driven on performances rather than content.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
There are always those movies in these like award seasons.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was really hoping Challenges would be a player this year, but
Yeah, no, they've been stuck dry.
it's not. And Dune 2. Dune 2.
We'll get
talk
to
about that soon, yeah.
We're going to get to that, yeah.
Nicole Kidman. I haven't even heard of Baby Girl until I saw this, by the way. I've been really slack with award season this year, but
I don't even know what Baby Girl is.
Nicole Kidman on top again. That's pretty cool.
I've heard of that. Yeah, she's been. I feel like she's almost been at constant battle with Kate Blanchett for quite a while on catching an Oscar.
Kate Blanchett is 3 or 2.
Yeah, I think she's got 3. Her last one, I think she got for that. What was it called again? I can't remember.
I have actually seen the
Carol.
Pardon?
Carol.
Yes, yeah, I know that one. I know the Baby Girl movie. I just looked up a picture of it now. It's got Harris Dixon in it. She's like a high-powered CEO.
Yeah, I know it now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, and it's kind of like that young guy relationship thing.
Yeah, and he's kind of like dominant and stuff, and she likes it. It kind of gives me vibes of Elle. Do you remember watching Elle?
Elle, what's Elle?
Yeah. We watched it when we were like first watching movies in cinema together. It's like a foreign film.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the letter L. Yes,
Oh, no,
of course. I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Elle,
It gave me those kind of vibes.
Yeah, that's right. She won the Golden Globe.
Yes.
Yeah. Isabelle Huppert?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
What I'm surprised by is that The Brutalist is not making as much waves.
I am surprised by that. I heard big stuff come out of the festival circuit.
So have we just not seen The Brutalist fully deployed yet throughout the industry, or do we think that maybe it's not quite at that tier where it's going to be snatching awards?
I just think it's at that tier. If they're on the National Board of Review, the voters would have early screeners or early screenings for these kind of movies. At least that's what A24 would want to do, because they are going to push for an awards campaign for it. So I would say there's a 95% chance that it was in front of National Board of Review's eyes, and they aren't voting for it, or it just hasn't gelled well with them. But there stands a chance for it to be a player here. Yeah.
I mean, A24 for the past sort of 5 years has been dominating Best Picture and taking it off everyone else. I mean, the most recent...
Just everyone everywhere. What else have they won?
Was Parasite A24?
That was Neon.
Yeah.
Neon.
But Neon, Neon and A24 are very similar.
And Universal won it last year.
For Oppenheimer.
What was the year before that?
Everything everywhere.
And then we had Moonlight.
No, Moonlight was like 2016.
Wait, when was...
Yeah. What about you, Nan? What's your thoughts on those?
Me, I mean, I'm surprised for Wicked. I haven't heard of Queer or Baby Girl until this came out, and then I've started seeing more stuff about Queer.
Yeah.
But I'm really shocked by Wicked. Like, it's making me think, like we discussed it before, it's like, oh, it's getting this traction and people are getting hyped for it. I mean, if it's getting into like the realm of Oscar contention, then yeah, I might give it a go and watch it, you know? I mean, we all know I'm not a big musical guy, but if it's in that realm of both like
You kind of got to watch
good
it.
quality,
Yeah.
making good money, and also in for the awards, then you sort of need to see it. So
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see why it's this much favoured compared to other stuff, because I know that we have seen better stuff. But yeah, the pool is very short this year. But
Yeah.
stuff like challenges, I would expect to be here. There's other stuff that we saw earlier in the year that I just can't think of right now.
Well, I expect these people have seen The Brutalist, which is probably the kind of movie that is completely counter, a tonal opposite to Wicked. So I do wonder, like, if it is getting a fair shot throughout this, or if they had seen it. Because
Did it win anything in the film festival circuit?
I think it...
I don't know if it
Don't
did.
know.
The one thing that I think can actually be more of a detriment to a movie is the runtime. Brutalist is 3 hours and 35 minutes.
Holy, what the
Yeah,
hell?
we saw The Irishman, great movie. Martin Scorsese brought back some legends. Didn't really do much, of an impact on the award season. I think that runtime actually can affect people in a negative way, despite the overall greatness of the movie. If you watch that kind of movie with that runtime, it's not like you want to go back and watch it again because it's so long and time consuming.
I think 3 hours is probably the max, but in that 3 hours you had to pack it with like engaging stuff, like Endgame, the Batman, and Oppenheimer. Just for recent examples, they were like all engaging. They all had like their moments that like brought you in, but then there was moments that like dipped you out. I think if you go into that 3:35 territory, it gets a bit dragging.
Yeah, I mean, even Oppenheimer was nowhere close to that long.
Well, I mean, like
It was
Avatar.
still 3 hours, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, but that extra
close.
half an hour is so
Yeah,
much.
that's what I'm speaking about. Is that how 3 hours is like the max point of consumer engagement?
But every 5 minutes you do after that 3 hour point, you're like, it's like exponential, like the viewer's patience level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. But then, like, you got the Avatar: The Way of Water, 3 hours and 15 minutes? Nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, but that's on the lower scale of the 3 hours. It's not like 35.
But
Yeah, but it's
also
only 20
it's
minutes.
also an epic in the most truest sense.
But,
you can get
Lord of the
away
Rings.
with it for epics because
True, because it's really high scale and engaging
Especially
so many
considering it
moving
took like,
set
what,
pieces.
12 years for the sequel to come out?
yeah.
Yeah, also Lord of the Rings. So, Titanic,
How long was that?
3 hours and something. Yeah, on the lower end, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of what The Brutalist did actually win, the New York Film Critics Circle Awards, Best Film, Best Actor for Adrian Brody. In terms of Venice Film Festival, Best Director. So
Well, I mean, Adrian Brody doesn't need another Oscar. He already holds the accolade for the youngest man to ever win Best Actor.
How old was he?
Early 20s, I think.
damn.
Yeah, he was
Is
in his
that
early 20s.
pianist? No.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah.
It's your movie, lad.
What were the top movies that?
Yep, I'm about to get into that.
Yeah.
So this is in no order, by the way. So we actually it is. It's in alphabetical order. So we have Anora, Baby Girl. That's not alphabetical order. A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Furiosa and Mad Max Saga, Gladiator 2, Jura number 2, Queer, A Real Pain, and Sing Sing.
Okay. That is alphabetical.
Yeah,
Oh, 'cause you
they
just-
just won't count
just-
the A in complete or not. But yeah.
I disagree.
I'm not against that list. It's weird for me to see Furiosa in there. Look, I like Furiosa, but I don't think it's a top film. Probably conversely, Gladiator 2, I've not seen it, but I'm sure that a lot of people would feel one or two ways about Gladiator 2 being there. I've heard Jura 2 is amazing. I'm about to watch that one. Again, no Brutalist.
No Dune 2.
Yeah? I mean, that's not surprising.
But over Furiosa?
That's surprising. That's why I said Furiosa being on there is surprising. And Gladiator, I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That Dune 2's not on there, but those two are.
Yeah.
That's actually crazy.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Even challenges, you could swap both. I haven't seen Gladiator 2. It could live up to this thing, but I have seen Furiosa, and I know that either Dune 2 or Challenges should be in this place rather than Furiosa.
Yeah.
A real, oh no, not that. Just trying to go to the list of things. Yeah, jury number 2, that's Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, I saw all this controversy about that movie. So I'm surprised that it got this. I was not expecting to be a big player in the awards arena.
Is it just because, is this because Clint Eastwood is like a conservative or whatever?
Nah, I think it was something about like streaming or something like that. It wasn't about anything about like the personnel behind it.
Okay.
Complete unknown. Looks like James Mangold's back to form. Timothée Chalamet. Furiosa above Dune Part 2 I think is absolutely delusional. I don't know why that would... I think Furiosa is really like... Not bad, but like it's just really average. It's perfectly fine. Yeah. I don't think it's like highly cinematic where it's like, wow, breathtaking in any way. Not the way that Mad Max Fury Road was. But Nora deserves to be in there. And I haven't really seen anything else to really make much of a statement on this yet. Gladiator 2 is a big surprise, but it's a big surprise based on the reception I've heard. But I've always heard it being like an awards contender. I think that's a little bit of a, Ridley Scott bias there, even though he is washed and he's not a good director anymore. But yeah, the other ones are much surprising. Sing Sing, I think that one's going to be a big one for the year.
I think so too.
Yeah, I still think stuff like the Brutalist is actually going to be a player when it comes to the things at the end of the day. We're just going to have to see. It's a really beginning here. So much can change.
What I find funny about that list, and I don't know if it's because it won or it got thinged for best film, is that Wicked wasn't part of that list?
No, because it's the top film.
Okay,
yeah.
That's okay. That's what I thought. And that's exactly what I thought. All right, we'll move on to the American Film Institute top 10 films. So this might give kind of a bit of room to breathe. So we have Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Nickel Boys, A Real Pain, Sing Sing, and Wicked.
Okay. That looks a lot better to me. Things are looking a little bit more, a little bit more realistic. I mean, I like, if I'm being honest, I still don't know if Dune Part 2 is a best picture kind of movie.
I think it deserves it.
I think
better than the first one.
It is better than the first one, but again, I still think it's a movie I think has flaws. Sing Sing, Coleman Domingo, he's on the rise, isn't he? Same as last year. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see Wicked consistently here, across the board. I wonder if that's going to result in a Best Picture nomination at the Oscars.
100%. I will be nominated. I don't doubt that at all. It's just like, I don't know what the front runner would be.
Maybe Anora? It just seems to be at least...
consistently across the board.
It might be Wicked. The popularity bias behind it too.
I think Wicked might stand a chance as well.
I don't know. I don't know if we've ever seen a movie like Wicked ever win.
In
Best
what,
Picture.
In what aspect? Just because of the fans or the box office? Or?
Oppenheimer. I mean, that was very popular amongst the general audience and normal, and it was a good movie, and it was sweeping all awards.
It's not like Wicked because it is very much a traditional drama.
Yes.
Wicked is completely different. It's very like franchisey and poppy and bubbly. I mean, the closest you really get to that is like probably like Lord of the Rings or like maybe like Everything Everywhere. Maybe that's as close as you
Everything
get.
Everywhere
But both of
is
those
weird.
are like really, they're filled with very serious drama. And Wicked is very like, from what I understand, very bright and funny and bubbly and
I've heard loads of
complex
people
and-
like cry in it, and that's really emotional at certain points. So
Wicked.
yeah, so there might actually be like real emotional like pulls in that movie that kind of elevate it beyond that kind of
maybe,
musical bright side of things.
maybe,
And that's
yeah.
where it's getting that consideration from.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. A Complete Unknown is sort of being a little bit more consistent as well, which is interesting. Amelia Perez, I don't see reaching that tier. I think maybe you could see maybe Zoe Saldana.
As a Best Actress nominee.
Yeah, as a Best Actress
or Best
nominee.
Supporting Actress.
But I don't see that winning.
I think it got around that 70% mark on Rotten Tomatoes. Doesn't indicate a Best Picture nominee, despite some in recent years. So, yeah, I think we're looking at a year where it's like there's not going to be a clear front runner.
No.
At least not right until the end.
I think we can probably safely say, though, that if we were to select some that are probably are likely front runners, you could say maybe Wicked, you could say maybe Anora, and one other.
I would say
maybe-
Sing Sing's in the mix.
Yeah.
And I think you got in terms of that next tier would be like stuff like The Brutalist, Conclave, which has consistently been there. I just hope Ralph Fiennes actually wins an Oscar. He is the best actor to not win an Oscar.
He's never won an Oscar.
Nope.
Oh, damn.
And he is amazing. He's very, very good in every role that he does. So I hope he gets
Apart from
something.
Harry Potter.
Pardon? Why?
Why
I've
bring
been
that
through
back?
enough pain in this podcast. Stop.
He should have won the Oscar for Schindler's List.
I haven't seen Schindler's List.
I mean,
Oh, you need to see Schindler's List.
I own it in 4K. I'm just waiting for the right time, the right company, the right TV. I don't have an OLED again, so
The right company is by yourself and with a glass of whiskey.
glass of whiskey, you say?
Yeah, because it's a sobering kind of movie.
Can
and you need
I
to-
borrow it from you? Because I've got all of those.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta wait for my girlfriend to leave for a night, and then we'll have a Schindler's night.
It's definitely not a date movie.
All right. Yeah, it's really brutal and sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Is it the one that's in black and white?
But the
With
red.
The
yeah.
red? Yeah,
The
okay,
red
cool.
girl. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. That would do us on our 90th podcast. Our road to 100 is back on track now after a slight detour. I will try to be more consistent for you guys. What are you guys there wondering? Oh, when are they going to drop the next one? How come they've dropped from number 1 to number 5 on Spotify Wrapped? You know, yeah, it's our fault. You know, if we're consistent, we'll be your number ones.
It's actually Nan's fault.
It is.
Once a month, he will leave and just disappear for a week. We don't know where he goes,
Yeah,
but he's gone and he delays us by a month.
that is true. Hashtag work life. Anyway, don't follow us
know.
on anything except for Spotify so you can keep up with our road to 100.
Our final 10. Yeah, at least we'll know in about 2 weeks. We will be doing our most anticipated 2025, our most anticipated TV shows for 2025. And since we're not here for 2025, we're doing our most anticipated 2026 because the most stacked ever year for movies that I have seen, assuming no delays. So you can guarantee on us for delivering that to you.
Oh, yes, we will, before we leave. That's guaranteed. Otherwise, yeah, thanks everyone for listening to us. And James gone on his massive ass run. We're movie games, and we'll catch you later.
Peace.
Later.